right, good morning, everyone. My name is Brian DeAndrea. I'm Senior Vice President at Century Housing and President of Century Villages at Cabrillo. Welcome to the Villages this morning. Some of you have probably been here before. We see some familiar faces. Some of you, this may be your first time. This is a wonderful asset, a 26-acre community here on the west side of Long Beach. We are home to more than 1,500 residents on any given night. It's a special community that's been specifically designed and developed over the years from its days as a Navy housing yard and home to the Navy and civilians that worked in the shipyards to now becoming essentially the centerpiece of the city's efforts to address homelessness and provide housing and hope and healing to vulnerable populations. The city is our biggest partner in this effort. We couldn't do it without the support of so many departments at the city, from the Housing Authority to Health and Human Services to the Neighborhood Housing Services Bureau, to the mayor's office, the city manager's office, and so on and so forth. So we're proud to host this very important kickoff of the Westside Promise Challenge, and it gives me great pleasure this morning to bring to the podium our great mayor of Long Beach, Mayor Rex Richardson.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you all so much for joining us this morning as we convene stakeholders, neighborhood leaders, to have this important conversation. And I want to offer a special thanks to Century Villages Cabrillo for opening up their doors. This has been a space, this room in particular, since it's open, has really been a good space for collaboration and bringing people together, and it's just great to see the legacy continue. I also want to acknowledge the leaders that we have in the room with us today: Congressman Robert Garcia, Councilmember Roberto Uranga, who represents this amazing community. And we know there's a little bit of an accident on PCH. I saw it coming in. I took TI Freeway down, to try to take the Willow exit around it, and I saw the accident, and so there may be additional folks coming. And we know we have representation from Congresswoman Annette Barragan's office, as well as Senator Lena Gonzalez's office and Lieutenant Governor Eleni Koulonakis' office, who have joined us today. All right, so I've been mayor for about 15, 20 minutes, but it's actually been about 8 months, and it's been a good process over these last 8 months, a whole lot of, 100 days and convenings and all of those things. But we're at a place now where we've introduced our first budget, and it's time to, begin to outline the doctrine, where we're going as a city. And introducing my first budget, the Opportunity Beach budget this past Tuesday, we focused on short, medium, long-term priorities, and we tried to think about how we can address some of the community's greatest needs. There's certainly a lot of focus on homelessness and housing and building up community supports there. And there's a lot of focus on sustainability and creating a cleaner future. But today what we're doing is leveraging the most important power that every mayor has. It's the power to convene. It's to bring people together around focusing on an issue, to see if we couldn't work together to drive an outcome that we couldn't do alone. And so we're going to share our vision today for the West Side and opportunities we have over the next decade, and discuss with you all a proposal in front of the City Council that we hope will be adopted by the City Council that will help set the stage to meet the community's health and economic needs here on the west side of Long Beach. If we aren't using the power to convene to make the most positive impact in our city, then we're not doing it right. I think it makes it's incredibly important to focus on the challenges that are sometimes seem the most difficult, or the challenges that seem insurmountable. That's where we have to focus first. That's where we have to start. And so if you look around the room, you'll see a great collection of a diverse group of stakeholders and community members. You see the nonprofit sector. You see different levels of government, sustainability. See philanthropic leaders. Education is in the room. Private sector is in the room. Labor is in the room. Everyone's here to have this conversation. You've all been invited because of your shared commitment to improving the well-being of families here in West Long Beach, particularly those who have been who haven't been included in the economic progress of our city, or those who've been disproportionately impacted by environmental decisions here in our city over generations. And so we welcome your guidance, we welcome your experience, we welcome your insights as we prepare for a more resilient future for Westside families. So one of the greatest tasks that I have as mayor is to facilitate a transition to a more climate-friendly, climate-sustainable, cleaner community. One of those big challenges that we've talked about, we'll continue to talk about, is sort of limiting and reducing our city's financial dependence on oil production activities, and to grow our economy in new and more sustainable directions. And as we enter the 2030s, you'll see efforts to make sure that we are financially strong and economically strong as the production oil comes to an end in the years to come. And it's clear that we're sort of relying on oil production as a local revenue source to support our city's services is not a long-term feasible strategy, not only from a community health perspective, but also from a financial perspective for our city. So the city must part ways with that revenue source. We have to make real plans and strides to do that. And we also need to make sure that we focus on equity, and our fidelity to equity compels us to focus on expanding opportunities for the communities that have carried the greatest burden in terms of poor health outcomes or historic lack of investment, communities like West Long Beach. And so I like the West Side. It's a vibrant community. I've driven around the West Side just in the weeks leading up to the proposal, just to kind of get a feel for this and see if this is something we really can make an impact and make a difference. And I believe that we can. It's a vibrant community full of youth and families, business corridors, neighborhoods that contribute greatly to our city's cultural fabric, from the food to the language to the people. It's home to a number of different schools, including Cabrillo High School, which is recognized for its offerings of linked learning pathways and global port logistics and engineering. We're here at Century Villages Cabrillo, which was stated earlier, 27-acre campus where we are today, that's helping hundreds of families right now overcome homelessness. Home to Gold Star Manor, an independent living facility for veterans and families. The West Side is incredibly diverse. Over 90% of residents in this community identify as people of color. It's home to historic Latino, Black, API communities, including Long Beach's own Little Manila. The community is also home, it's based to one of our nation's largest economic drivers, the Port of Long Beach. And despite these unique characteristics of our community, this is also an area of our city that's been on the front line of extreme weather events, has borne the brunt of air pollution. And we've all heard the statistics, the tale of two cities, the 14-year difference in life expectancy now was 17 prior to the pandemic. And this community experiences challenges that many of us may take for granted if you don't live on the West Side. And so I don't think that that's okay. I think we're a big city and we can take on big challenges. And I think that we can't continue to prosper as a city, prosper as a port, prosper as a region without making an intentional focus to see what we can do together to make a big difference here, to improve air quality, to improve opportunity, to make sure that young people can achieve their highest and best potential here in this community. We know that climate change continues to impact all of our communities. A recent weather event like flooding and heat waves has taken a significant toll on residents in the city, including right here on the West Side. And so the question we're asking is how is it that the backbone of the American economy, backbone of our region, is experiencing certain challenges? And so we get to answer that question. How is it an area of the city that's responsible for creating the most jobs for our region and our state not enjoy the same health and quality of life standards as the rest of the city? That's the question we get to answer. In a city that truly honors commitments to equity, these contradictions simply can't stand. That's why today we want to share our proposal with you that we made to the City Council for the development of a new partnership called the Westside Promise Zone. Promise zones, empowerment zones, enterprise zones, redevelopment zones, zone initiatives are not new. They're place-based approaches where government entities leverage resources and partnerships and work directly with local leaders and anchor institutions to boost outcomes, economic outcomes, boost job growth, educational outcomes reduce crime, leverage private investment to improve quality of life for areas that need improvement. These strategies were piloted throughout the years. The Obama administration piloted Promise Zones, helping to fight blight and urban poverty and expand opportunities. These initiatives combine partnerships with local stakeholders with targeted government support, including expanded access to grant opportunities, philanthropy, staffing capacity for programming, support in navigating public services, and focused economic development strategies that are boutique to that local community. So over the next decade, we have a real opportunity here to work alongside our community here in West Long Beach to reach its highest and fullest potential. Over the next 10 years, we know that we're already going to see record levels of investment from the Biden administration through the Inflation Reduction Act. How can we leverage that to have a real impact here in West Long Beach? How can we invest in energy investments in the West Long Beach and green building standards and clean air? We'll begin to see notable improvements in air quality already since the state is already taking steps to advance clean fleet regulations. As we electrify our port and a larger portion of our trucks begin to electrify, we'll begin to see benefits already through the benefits of the port's Clean Air Action Plan and the city's Climate Action Plan. But we have the room, we have the ability and the power in this room to take it a bit further than what is already going to happen. Let's see how we can leverage these opportunities to do even more for the West Side. As mayor, I'm going to issue a call to all our I'm issuing it now. To all our partners here today, including the Port of Long Beach, our state and federal representatives, philanthropic leaders, climate and environmental justice advocates, educators, community-based organizations, labor, and the private sector, to identify new commitments that can be made for the West Long Beach community over the next decade. The City of Long Beach will lead the way, and we're leading by dedicating significant capital resources, capital investment dollars through the Elevate 28 plan in preparation for the 2028 Olympics, and in other city resources in the FY24 budget to improve services and infrastructure in our neighborhood. The proposed 2024 budget will lay a foundation for the Westside Promise through efforts, a series of focused community investments, including $1.8 million in park improvements at Hudson, Silverado, Admiral Kit, and Veterans Park. This will help fund new signature playgrounds, improve sports fields, basketball courts, and facility repairs. There's also funding to begin the planning and preliminary design for the Green Terminal Island Freeway. I intentionally took the Green TI this morning. I didn't know it was going to be, to avoid the accident, so I'm fortunate that we did. But in taking a look at that freeway, I believe that is one of the biggest environmental justice opportunities that we have on the West Side, is to give that property and give that land back to the community in the form of a park. And so you'll see resources in the budget to begin that process, the feasibility and design, to take that next step, which will replace that freeway with more green space. There's other key investments in the budget: Fire Station 13, West Facility, Health Center at Admiral Kit Park, Santa Fe Avenue pedestrian sidewalk, streetscape, other mobility improvements. To accelerate these efforts, I'm asking the city manager through this budget to develop a 10-year community investment plan to coordinate with economic development on priorities like access to financial services, access to healthy food and groceries, amenities that the community needs, and to also leverage climate mitigation efforts over the next decade that will improve quality of life. This plan proposes a fund for coordinating and encouraging private and philanthropic efforts on the West Side. We're proud to see philanthropic nonprofit partners here. So we want to leverage and target more philanthropy and nonprofit activity here. Work plans to promote affordable housing, economic development, and bring amenities that may be lacking to the West Long Beach neighborhood, additional financial resources, access to healthy food, ongoing partnerships with state and local federal representatives to secure funding for priority projects. And we know that the state budget, federal budget, it fluctuates, but we have the opportunity to be strategic and partner with our representatives at the federal government, like Congressman Garcia, like Congresswoman Barragan, and our state partners, like Senator Gonzalez and Assemblymember Lowenthal, to make sure that we're targeting, coordinating. So despite challenging budgets, we're continuing to chip away at these projects. and developing an internal strategy for drawing down of unprecedented Inflation Reduction Act dollars and other grant opportunities. Additionally, as a part of my recommendation to the city manager and to the city council, I'm seeking the creation of a Westside Promise Zone coordinator position to support the programmatic needs, someone who can serve as sort of the internal coordinator, a special officer type, that can coordinate the different levels of investment and strategies that come together. I'm recommending an additional $150,000 to explore the creation of a business improvement district. The boundaries should be determined by the local businesses in the community, but I hear a lot about Santa Fe, so I think we should look at Santa Fe. A cultural arts district on the west side. I believe that cultural arts are an economic driver, and we have some of the best food and community on the west side. So I think we should look at that as an economic opportunity. This could bolster visibility for the west side, identity, and help bring much needed pride to these communities. I'm also recommending $50,000 to provide technical support for community-based organizations who are seeking grants through the Inflation Reduction Act and other resources in coordination with the nonprofit partnership. In the spirit of partnership, I'm making a few specific requests to the Port of Long Beach, and we're very fortunate to have the Port's leadership here today with us. We're requesting the Port to match the city's $500,000 investment into tree planting, $150,000 investment into planning efforts, the Green TI. We believe that the city's $150,000, the Port's $150,000 gives us a great start with $300,000 to get the project going. There's still many, many steps, but we're serious about beginning that process. If it takes 5 years or 10 years, day one is today. And to coordinate with the Port to sponsor more activities like the West Long Beach Festival. We are directly in the West Long Beach community, and we think this aligns with the Port's mission to continue to collaborate on a West Long Beach Festival with local community nonprofit organizations. Now, these investments by the city are an important start, but to achieve the kind of change that we need, we can't do this alone. It's going to require a significant, focused effort, undoing generations of environmental racism and underinvestment. It's a big effort, and it will require partnerships, a spirit of collaboration from everyone in this room. Long Beach needs to build a new covenant with the West Side because in order for our entire city to prosper, we have to make sure that hardworking families in the West Side are not an afterthought, but a central focus of the city's prosperity. The West Side deserves to thrive. We each can play a role in helping it to get there. I'm asking everyone in this room to get creative about how you show up and contribute to the prosperity of the West Side. We're talking about a concerted cross-sector effort to invest and uplift this important part of our city. Some of our partners here today have already begun to think about this work. I had a roundtable a few months ago just teasing the idea, and it sparked some creativity. I want to hear about those ideas. I want to hear about the progress that you're making. We're hoping that these efforts will bring new resources to the table that can improve parks and open space, environmental public health services, small business supports, cultural programming, new financial institutions, access to healthy food, businesses that thrive, workforce and educational opportunities on the West Side. Together, by coordinating these investments across different sectors and levels of government, we can change this narrative of the Tale of Two Cities. And we can begin with West Long Beach. And if we're successful here, this is a model for other parts of our city that need additional focus. When we look back on this moment 10 years from now, let's be proud of the role that each of us have played in improving the health of the families of West Long Beach and help usher a more promising future for the families that live here, that's centered on dignity, centered on equity, and filled with promise. And that's what the promise is about. And so I'm glad that you're all here. I'm ready to get into the conversation. And with that, I want to turn it over to Councilmember Uranga for some remarks. Okay, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. At the end of the day, we're talking about people. We're talking about residents of West Long Beach and how we can improve the lives of the people who live here. That's what this is all about. When we are giving seed money, $150,000 for economic development, for a bid, for money for parks, facilities, improvements, It's all about making improvements for people to enjoy West Long Beach. The mayor is absolutely correct in terms of the diversity that we have in West Long Beach. Very diverse. Little Manila, heavy Hispanic influence, heavy African American influence, Asian American, of course. So the diversity that we have here in West Long Beach is broad. Also, if people have heard me before, I always refer to the Westside as an island. It's separated from mainstream Long Beach by a river and by a freeway. There's 4 points of entry into West Long Beach: Warlow, Willow, Santa Fe, and Anaheim if you really want to push it. So when you look at that, you really consider that the fact that there's not that much of possibilities in West Long Beach. We've tried to get industrial, big box industry into West Palm Beach, and they say they can't because of the way it's situated, because of its isolated status. And people feel, rightfully so, that they're the stepchild of Long Beach, that they're being ignored, that services don't come to Long Beach. And not for lack of effort, we've tried, but we're going to continue. And I think what we are now with this mayor, this city council, this leadership that's there, with Robert in Congress, with Ian Gonzalez, former council member, and former council member in the city, Josh, who grew up in Long Beach. There's a commitment to Long Beach, and there's a commitment to West Long Beach. So I'm very proud to see the commitment that we have coming here now. The mayor has outlined some of those commitments. We're putting our money where our mouth is, and hopefully we can advance that forward and make some real change and good things happen. Thank you for being here. I want to thank, of course, Villages of Cabrillo for inviting us here, for running this wonderful facility. Thank you all for taking time on your Friday to be here today, to listen to us, to hear what we got going, and to get involved. Hopefully you'll find a slot where you say, I can do that. I can fit in. I want to help to make Long Beach the best it can possibly be. So thank you very much.
All right, next I want to turn it over to our friend and representative fighting the good fight in Washington, D.C., no stranger to Long Beach, Congressman Robert Garcia.
Hey y'all, how we doing? It's always, of course, good to be home and good to see so many friends as well. It's always great also to hear the mayor kind of outline his vision for the future of our city. And so I just want to start by commending Mayor Richardson. This is a really, I think, transformational project. It's certainly an opportunity to bring together so many folks from all of our communities to really focus on neighborhoods and a community that, as we've discussed for so long, has been the brunt of so much, particularly environmental concerns and so much injustice over the years. And so I just want to thank the mayor, Councilmember Uranga. Thank you both. Let's give them a round of applause for their work. Obviously, as not just a member of Congress, but certainly as a former mayor, I'm excited to bring whatever resources that we can from the federal government to support this initiative. And I know that I also speak for Congresswoman Barragan in being able to say that we will do whatever we can to bring all the resources, as the mayor mentioned, within the Investment Reduction Act, a major initiative of the president's, within the bipartisan infrastructure bill, a major initiative of the president's, all the work that we're doing at our ports, and to bring the resources here. The one thing that I'll add that I think is really critical, and I think the mayor touched on this a little bit. I don't think that people realize the enormity of the amount of money and resources that are right now sitting at the federal government because of the laws that were just passed over the last couple of years. It is a historic level of funding, not just for infrastructure, not just for ports, but the single largest investment in climate and environmental justice in the history of the United States. And so where is all of these resources going to go? And it's going to be projects and partnerships with labor, with education institutions, with activists on the ground, to refocus and re-energize, especially communities that have had disinvestment. And so when you look at the criteria of where does the federal government, where do these agencies want to spend their resources, I mean, West Long Beach just fits, I mean, every single checkbox as far as where these investments should go. The adjacency to industry, the impacts of pollution, the separation because of man-made infrastructure and the way communities were separated because of freeways and other injustices that happened over time. The population, the diversity of the population. So all of these factors make West Long Beach and the initiative that the city is launching, I think, in a really, really unique position. And so we will do in the years ahead everything we can to ensure that those resources are targeted and are being supported. And so I just want to congratulate you. I think that the mayor's bringing folks together in this convening to have these discussions and conversations. And I know that our team is excited to help, and I'm excited to see all the great changes ahead. So good to see you all. I'll say hello in a minute too. Thanks.
All right. I think the councilman and the congressman nailed it. This is a real watershed moment, an opportunity for us to lean in, layer our resources together, and make a big difference. I want to acknowledge, I see our school board member that represents this area, Eric Miller. I think I saw board member Intuk here as well. Board member Intuk, I think, is here too. Oh, there he is. Okay, good. Okay, and finally, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you some ways that your organizations or you individually can take part in supporting the development of this Promise Zone concept. Ways that maybe we're not seeing, or maybe ways that we can enhance it. What strategies or ideas should the city be considering as we build out this initiative over time? I have a roving mic. We can maybe get through 10 or so. We have time for, where's my roving mic? All right, let's hear it for Paul and Parker, our policy team. So let's get started. So I see first hand right here, Jessica Quintana.
To hold it? Okay. Thank you, Mayor Richardson, for definitely recognizing the West Side. Definitely long overdue. The Westside Promise, happy to hear. I'm a proud West Sider. We bought our property here over the early 70s, over 30-something years ago. But I'm also the executive director of Centro Cha, who we as an organization been doing many investments here on the West Side through the Summer Night Lights, through our safe passages, through workforce development, immigration services. So definitely, supporter of this. But, few things of recommendations. It's important that we create a health and economic impact report for the West Side because, for years and years, we always develop initiatives without looking at a data-driven approach, right? So you talked, about, the ethnicity, but it's important that we get a demographic report on how many youth are in this area, how many seniors, our ethnic breakdown. So that way, as we're designing programs going forward and looking at the poverty and economic status, because the majority of folks that live here on the West Side are hotel workers, they're gardeners, they work very, low wages, and so they need a lot of support. So, you hit it on the head when you talked about disinvested communities. The West Side has been that disinvested communities for years. If our two bridges crumbled, we would definitely be an island on our own. So, and then another thing is, it's important that if this is for West Siders, West Side residents, then it needs to be developed by West Side people. So really would love to see some town hall hearings in the community and really folks come out to be part of that decision making. So thank you again.
Fantastic.
Mayor, this is a great initiative. I
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
Thanks, Jessica.
Councilman Uranga, thank you so much.
All right, I see a hand over here.
Yes, hello. My name is Martin Porter. I'm the president for 2023 of the Westside Business Association.
Okay.
We're the industrial component from Anaheim to PCH. As a suggestion, Meg has been a long time key bid, and having our area become a key bid where all of the property owners are able to contribute to a business improvement district, and perhaps joining with all the residents north of PCH to become a larger group.
Mhm.
There is investment from the industrial properties and owners, as a suggestion.
Great. I'll tell you, when we did the Uptown Business District, it was about a year of just scoping and seeing, who needs to be a part of it, community discussions, all that. There's resources in this budget, should it pass, to begin that type of conversation. So I'm sure that we certainly can have that discussion. Paul? Paul? Who's next?
So Mayor, Congressman, and Councilman,
If you could stand, that would be great.
thank you so much for this leadership that we have here to invest in the community. So let me just say one added thing to what's already been said. What was that?
Oh, he said, who are you? Introduce yourself. We don't all know you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mario Cordero, CEO of the Port of Long Beach. So the only thing I wanted to add in terms of how important this is for Long Beach and communities, I just got back from DC last night, and the reason I was there, I was with a California delegation, Arches, to seek funding from the Department of Energy for hydrogen development so we could further move forward in our quest for zero emission. And in that 6-hour session yesterday, Q&A with the DOE, I could tell you that a big focus was a question to the delegation: what are you doing with regard to community benefits? I believe that's one of the strengths of the application that Arches brings, and primarily Port of Long Beach being part of that, because I think it's endeavors like what you're hearing today that I think separates Long Beach from many other parts of the nation and other cities. That investment that we've had with our communities. So I'm glad to represent the Port of Long Beach as part of a partner, or being a partnership to this, because again, as has been mentioned, this is an area that's part of a port industrial session or a complex, the largest one in the United States, and it's also one that mandates our contribution to the community benefits that we're hearing this morning. So thank you so much, Mayor, Congressman, Councilman, for this vision, and the Port of Long Beach, along with my COO, Noel Hasagawa. We're glad to be part of this vision and this partnership. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Parker, who's next? Please stand. Parker, if you could just stand by the mic so I can know where I'm going, that would be good. Parker's working this side, and Paul is working that side, if in case you're wondering what we're doing.
right.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Richardson, for inviting us.
Absolutely.
My name's Stella Ursua. I'm the Senior Programs and Partnerships Manager for Grid Alternatives, the Greater LA office. And we have done a lot of work here in Long Beach, by the way. We have installed about 300 solar panel installations here for families that live in environmentally polluted neighborhoods. It's free, no charge to the families. Across LA, Orange County, and Ventura counties, we've installed 3,600 systems for those same households. We've also installed for community facilities, 37 community facilities. And I believe that we've worked with Brian and Century Villages at Cabrillo on other projects as well. So thank you for asking us what we could contribute. And so that list includes creating resilience centers for communities that are most vulnerable to climate change and extreme heat days, creating solar and battery storage systems for residential customers and multifamily affordable housing buildings and commercial nonprofit community-based buildings. We can design and install charging stations, and we have actually a donation from Honda. If anybody's interested, we have about 40 chargers left.
Get them out.
Yes, yes.
Put them out. Put them on the west side.
Hit me up afterwards. We can provide all sorts of community outreach and engagement services. We've been on so many grants recently, transformative climate community grants That's all we do. Community engagement, we try to educate folks about climate change, about sustainability, et cetera. And finally, what we can contribute is workforce development and training for green careers. We've been talking with Eli from Pacific Gateway. How do we start a training center here on the west side? We are really serious about this.
Yeah.
We have a lot of folks that I think they could be part of this, this industry, part of this effort, part of the challenge. I have one young lady right next to me who just completed, graduated from our installation basic training program.
Congratulations.
Yes, Miranda Manzanetas. She is from Long Beach. She went to Jordan High. She graduated from there, so we're very
J-Town.
proud of. And please talk to her. She's got a very compelling story. So with that, we're looking forward to working with you on this West Side Challenge.
All right,
It's just
Grid
a
Alternative
perfect
stepping up.
opportunity. Yes.
Step up. What can you bring to the table? Paul, who's next?
Hey, Mayor Richardson, Uduak Joe Intuk here from Long Beach City College. Here on behalf of the college, Dr. Munoz, Trustee Malulu represents this area. She couldn't be here today. I'm stepping in on her behalf, but we're a big supporter of this. You know, you and I have represented North Long Beach the last 4 years together and started the Uptown Renaissance. So you've done this before. Many times the public investment drives private investment, brings nonprofits and foundations to also support. Long Beach City College is a community college for all of Long Beach. And so we're proud to support this effort. We have resources to bear, whether that's our facilities or finding new facilities, dual enrollment opportunities for Cabrillo, Poly High School. We're looking at a public safety training facility. We need to identify a location. This could be a prime location to have that training. It's a career pathway for good paying jobs, opportunity, and we can diversify our public safety, both our fire and police departments. Those are things that we can do in partnership with the community and bear and support this West Side initiative. So think of Long Beach City College as part of this process.
All right, let's think how we can step up for the West Side. All those are great ideas. Public safety, Parker, are you up? Paul, you're up, go for it.
Hi, Dr. Lane Bernal. I teach at Cal State Long Beach. Thanks for having me here. Thanks for having all of us here. So the West Side has always been very special to me. I grew up right across the bridge in Carson. My dad worked in the naval base in the commissary for over 20 years after doing 20 years in the Navy. So thank you for the space. So my question is, my sense is that there's still a grant process that folks have to go through as far as getting funding.
No, so
No?
we haven't built anything yet. It's a
Haven't built
proposal
anything
for the
yet.
city council with,
Got
and the idea is over time, we're gonna shape up different strategies. You're gonna have to have a mobility strategy on your infrastructure, an investment plan, 10-year investment plan. We're gonna be asking for a philanthropy, nonprofit strategy, climate, Inflation Reduction Act strategy. That will definitely have opportunities for grants and things like that. So how can the city help be a better facilitator, provide the data, a platform for nonprofits to get funded to do work here? So we see ourselves as like a facilitator and a first mover on this initiative, but we certainly aren't the whole. The idea is like, how can all of us contribute, and how can the city best support efforts that people have in this community? I would imagine, you know, civic engagement and data have to be like a part of this, and if the city can be that facilitator to provide data, to facilitate, we can do that. But there's no process in place now. This is a proposal we're hoping you guys support in front of the city council so we can get started.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, who's next?
Hi, I'm Michelle Byerly, Executive Director of the Nonprofit Partnership, and thank you for first including nonprofits in the plan, because we know
Absolutely.
nonprofits are in communities that typically aren't invested in. And what we need and what we see a start of is investment in nonprofits as businesses and employers and those dedicated to the communities that need those services the most. And so we know it's just the beginning, but really a concerted effort to build up the sector as businesses, employers, professionals, and they're really listening to the community and involving the community voice, which, you know, to echo what Jessica said, is needed for any place-based initiative to be successful.
Absolutely.
And I'll just say, and what a great group of stakeholders, because often place-based initiatives are started with funders and foundations who bring in nonprofits, but we don't have the buy-in from the private sector in the city that we need to make that a long-term investment. And so thank you for including all of those, and we're happy to help build that sector to help the West Side and the city of Long Beach. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Again, the city can't do it all. I mean, it's a big challenge. It's not like lack of investment started yesterday. We're talking generations, and it's going to take all of us being intentional. Everyone in this room is doing great stuff. How can we work together and collaborate for the West Side? That's the question. Who's next? Over here, Tony.
Mayor and everyone else that is here. My name is Tony Bell. First of all, thank you for everyone who came today to show an interest in the West Side. And Mayor, thank you for this proposal. Today I am in the capacity with Westside Long Beach Alliance as well as the Greater Westside Long Beach Business Association. And we just wanted to voice that you have our support in this, and we will work together. The Westside Long Beach Alliance is a collaboration and a collaborative of different organizations here on the West Side that work with the community. So we are, should this pass in council, which I'm sure that it will, you have our support and we will work with you.
All right, thank you. Any additional? All right, right over here.
Great. Chris Chavez with Coalition for Clean Air. First, really want to appreciate having this discussion today and really the quality of people who are in this room. There are a lot of really good advocates, a lot of good people who've really been involved with the West Side of Long Beach. Certainly appreciate this initiative, support the initiative. I know we've had some early conversations about potential air monitoring, air quality monitoring, things like that, but really want to emphasize that if you look at CalEnviroscreen, the state's tool that looks at environmental justice issues, some of the most polluted communities in the state are right here. And we have freeways, refineries, and so on. One thing I did want to piggyback off of in terms of Jessica's comments earlier is in terms of working with the community folks here. Just want to echo that, and certainly they will be here to participate in that process if they feel that there's that genuine engagement, that genuine interest. And one thing I would also point out is that this entire area is under West Long Beach as part of the Wilmington, Carson, and West Long Beach AB 617 Community Steering Committee, and there's an emissions reduction plan. And having the city as a partner in the implementation of that process, I think is going to be very important going into the future. But certainly looking to help out any way we can in this endeavor. Thank you.
Okay, all right. One more? Okay. We got a couple more? Okay, let's get through these.
My name is Hilda Gaitan. I'm a CEO of Puente Latino Association and also the chair for the sustainability, well, it's not sustainability commission anymore, but it's too long and I haven't remembered. I mean, climate change and sustainable cities. So I'm very, very happy to be here and hear all these ideas and see all the people here that they want to work together and build a community is just amazing and make me very proud of being here and to know you personally and to know a lot of you. But I have a question. Maybe I was not here early enough because it was an accident. But I have a question.
Sure.
Is there any provisions to avoid gentrification?
Yeah, I think, you know, as we move forward, all those considerations have to be factored in, right? Right now, I don't see a whole bunch of industry beating down the door and retail beating down the door to come to the West Side. It's not a threat today. But if things were to change, like let's say there was a land use plan that significantly enhances and creates incentives to bring that here, I personally believe it has to be coupled with community benefits that protect local communities. But as of right now, there's no threat to that. Now, I do want to manage expectations here. We're talking long term. We're talking, you know, over the next decade, how can we work together? And there's big opportunities, right? You have a big port that's going through a transition right now to electrification. That's going to be jobs. How can we make sure the West Side folks have the pipeline directly into those jobs? And if we invest in a business district, how can we make sure that it prioritized community amenities first, like bringing financial institutions like banks, like what we did together in North Long Beach, right? So I'm more so focused on how we add what's missing, how we enhance the community, but I am very sensitive to the concept of gentrification. There are best practices. There are things we're implementing that, across the city right now that maybe we should have implemented a decade or 15 years ago that we have today, that aren't as controversial as they were 10, 15 years ago, but we have them today. Things like no net loss policies, first right of refusal policies, inclusionary housing policies. But those typically are coupled with when there's a strategy to significantly invest in the growth and the density in those areas, like the downtown. But you don't have a lot of that focus here on the west side right now. There's not a lot of development focus on the west. So, but I understand, acknowledge exactly what you're saying. How many more? Taylor. Okay, who's next? Okay, whoever's next. I see 2 mics.
Good. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Taylor Thomas. I'm born and raised on the west side. I'm with East Yard Communities for Environmental Justice. And I appreciate that this is called a promise, because there might be some collective amnesia going on, but a lot of what you shared has already been done. There's been planning, visioning to decommission the TI freeway. Mm-hmm. There's been planning and investment plans made for our parks here. There's been planning and investments to be made for business districts here. The only thing that I saw that was new was an almost $300,000 government position that would create more bureaucracy for the residents here. What do we have people in your office for? What do we have a city council district here for? To do that. So I would like to know, for the residents who have engaged in a lot of these planning processes already, to identify all of those things already, to create plans that exist already, what are we doing for those plans that have been made? Because right now, what you're asking folks to do is to go through another round of planning promise, another round of visioning, to not get the projects that they have identified, to not get the priorities that they have identified. What are we going to do about that? What do you say to the residents that have given so much for many years to not see these investments made?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say, first, I've seen this before. When Steve Neal got elected to the city council in North Long Beach and started knocking on doors and talking to folks, we heard the very same thing. They said, what's new right now that we haven't heard before? You told us you're going to invest in this. We've had plans for libraries. We've had plans for financial institutions in the past. How is this different? And they're not wrong to ask the question, because a big part of it is, government takes a long time. Residents change, expectations change, and but every once in a while you have an aperture for equity, an opportunity. I believe when you get a new election, you get a new mayor, or something changes, that's an opportunity to bring people's focus together around making a difference. There's still a lot more work to do in North Long Beach, but I think those questions that were asked were answered. The bank is standing, the resources are standing. Did they all start in that moment? No. There were plans for a library. It wasn't fully designed to fund it, but it stands today. There were plans we had talked about. Steve Neal said in his swearing-in speech, Artesia, Uptown should be a preview to downtown. Artesia, we should be ashamed of this condition of Artesia. Every day, hundreds of thousands of people only experience the city is what they see on Artesia. 12 years later, Artesia is under construction. So I'm not confused about that there could be differences of opinion about how well the city can execute. But what I can tell you is, let's put the money on the table. Let's start building projects. Let's start making a difference. I think right now, that aperture of equity I'm talking about has a lot to do with alignment as well, because there is a transition already taking place on clean air in California right now. There is a transition at the port to electrification right now. There is a 10-year plan right now on Inflation Reduction Act. If we don't coordinate as a city, we miss the opportunity to maximize those to create a greater impact here. Maybe there was visioning in the past, like the Westside Livability Plan, which is a great plan that took place 10 years ago, but maybe there's funding to implement some of those concepts now. So I think a part of it is like strategy. How can we come together and implement strategy? So I think, you know, I receive it. I hear you loud and clear, and we got to show improve. So I receive that. Next.
Good morning, afternoon. My name is Thurl Golden. I'm a member of the West Long Beach Association. I've lived in West Long Beach for approximately 50 years. I'm not going to give the exact number, okay? But I love it here. I've raised my family. I have grandchildren who live here. And what I don't see in the plan is sustainability. We're talking about a one-year budget request is how the conversation started. One year is not going to get us very far. Some of the things we have had in the community is we had a collaboration with the school district, Mario at the port with a transition plan and having the children at Cabrillo get involved where they can transition to jobs at the port and stuff like that. I don't know the current status of that. Also with the Long Beach City College, that was in place. But it seems, from what I can understand now, talking to the children in the neighborhood, it's not publicized enough. I'll put it like that. But the main thing, when we bring all this together, we got to have clean air.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we got to have clean air.
And that should be here today. And it's not, it should not be a promise. Everybody, you don't have nobody from AQMD here.
Yeah, you do. She's sitting right there.
Raise your hand. Okay, how you doing?
Coalition from Clean Air is here. The port is here. The people are here.
Okay. There are no measurements mentioned about anything. We go in someplace, but we don't know the destination unless we measure the way.
Right. Absolutely.
And we don't have that in nothing that was, especially AQMD.
And that's our charge.
Yes.
Because we don't have that, that's why we're here.
Okay.
So we can put that together. There is no plan yet.
I understand that.
Right?
In that plan, you have to have measurements.
Absolutely. Receive.
We always have talk, but we never have measurements.
Right.
We have
so hopefully you're a part of this so you can measure it yourself too.
Oh, I understand that.
I'm not saying that the mayor's going to put it on his back and handle it all. I'm saying all of us together are going to do this.
I would like for you to create the atmosphere to let everybody know that that is a must.
Boom. You nailed it. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah. It's a must that we measure where we are and where we're going. Because no bad news, Mario, as far as the port's inventory. When they issued it last October, it was the same place it was 15 years ago. So we didn't go no place in 15 years. We spent several $1 million. Now, Mario's not going to agree with this, and I don't have a problem with that. We took 10,000 diesel trucks off the road, put 20,000 natural gas trucks on the road, which emitted the same amount of NOx. That's almost a fact.
I get it.
So let's not do something with one hand and take it back with the other.
I get it.
Because that was the end result of that. I'm not saying it was intentional, Mario.
Does anybody, thank you, Daryl. I truly appreciate it, and I enjoy our conversations. I truly appreciate you. So here's what I would say. Does anybody think this is not a good idea? Okay. So let's start with acts of good faith and assume good intent here, that we're trying to do the right things. Now, there's going to be a variable range of what that looks like, and that's okay. But I think we all agree on the general direction we should be going. That's what this is about. We'll do our last one, Paul, and then we'll sum it. Okay, last two. I got 2 here. Dude, we said 10. Okay, we'll go over here, then we do 2 over there. All right, this is lightning round. Let's go.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor.
Hi there.
Okay. My name is Connie Loggins. I am a born and raised Westside resident.
That's right.
And yes. First off, I want to say thank you for pulling us in this room. I have to admit that I've been very neglectful in terms of not realizing the decline of the community, because when I grew up, it was relatively a thriving community. We had the pharmacists, we had the major grocery stores, we had dentists, we had Foster Freeze. We had so many things going. The only thing we lacked was a financial institution.
Right.
And went away to college. Mom still stayed here, and it wasn't until her health declined that I started coming back more often and realizing, wow, where's the pharmacies? There's nothing. Where's the major chains? I'm like, what is going on? And my mom would always say, you need to be involved. You need to be involved. I'm like, yeah, I'm Counselor Polly. I don't have time for that, all right? But what I am saying is now you do have my eyes and my ears, and boots are on the ground. And I realize it's not easy working with an eclectic group of people. But
it's okay. It's our community.
It's all good.
That's why we're here.
I believe that everybody in this room loves the West Side. We have good intentions, but we need to bring our ideas together and cooperatively work with you to make this happen. And what I would love to see from the beginning are the essentials. I mean, it's very hard to comprehend any side of town that does not have a financial institution,
right,
a pharmacist,
yeah,
and urgent care. I mean, we have Villa Market. It's been here forever, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So I will just leave that alone.
I get it.
So we're not necessarily looking for chains, but we are looking for essential services. And I thank you for bringing us together to address this.
Thank you, Connie. All right, how many more we got? Okay, Board Member Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Richardson. First off, I just wanted to thank you for putting this plan together.
Sure.
Obviously, when we talk about the west side of Long Beach, we already talked about how it's been one of the most undervalued components of our city. And so to have a mayor who has put a plan in place to support the residents here, I feel very, very humbled and appreciative of those efforts. Speaking of my west side here, because I'm a Silverado Park guy, a Petro Lane guy, all things considered, housing affordability. Unfortunately, we are seeing a number of families that are no longer able to afford to live on the west sides of Long Beach, even Central Long Beach. I mean, houses are going for $750,000, $800,000 in these neighborhoods.
Right.
I've seen campaigns in LA like Don't Sell Grandma's House in regards to keeping residents and families here present so that they can build generational wealth. I know that those are components of your plan, but I'd love to hear just a little bit more.
Well, you're here representing the school district. I would love to hear how the school district is going to step up in the next 10 years on the Westside Promise Challenge. So we're here to put stuff on the table. And I agree with you about all those things. I have a proposal right now called the Long Beach Housing Promise. And we're having those conversations with the community college, the school district, Long Beach State, Cal State Dominguez Hills, about how we can partner on housing opportunities. So my recommendation is go have that conversation at the board on how Long Beach Unified is going to step up and be a part of solving this bigger housing challenge. Because together, there's so many opportunities, right? As you invest in your physical plant, in your facilities, as City College looks at their facilities, how can we partner when there's additional land, surplus land, or if we have a city property next to a school district property to leverage that to create a bigger opportunity or create communities centered around young people. So I want to empower you, my brother, to go have that conversation at the board and tell me how you're going to show up for the West Side.
Thank you, Mayor. Antonio Sanchez, I'm with the Electricians Union, IBW Local 11. And as part of organized labor, I always think of Long Beach because we've had a lot of big victories here in Long Beach. While you were a council member, and now as you are mayor. So I just want to uplift as we have the school district here, the community college here as well too, and the city, and the port. All of you individually have project labor agreements, a workforce development strategy on your own, but also collectively that can put a whole lot of people into great careers, not just the electrical field, but in construction in general. So I want to highlight that for you all because I work all over LA County. This opportunity does not exist all over LA County. It exists here in Long Beach. So we'd love to be able to help.
Absolutely.
Our apprenticeship is just a stone's throw away, a few cities over in LA
to the West
County.
Side.
You've been there several times.
That's right.
So we're happy to be more inclusive, as we have been doing already, and making sure that this apprenticeship opportunity is available to the West Side as well. So thank you for your leadership.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for your comments. This has been excellent.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right. Are we good? All right. Fantastic. Well, I just want to thank all of you. Look, it's not lost on me that, as soon as I came into office, it was very, very clear to me that, I care about equity. I want to advance equity, but where do you start? Where's the place you can make the most impact? The conversation that Councilmember Uranga and I had about Silverado Park and the homeless shelter, we heard you loud and clear. It exposed a lot very early in my administration, and it hasn't been lost on me. And so, to those of you in the room, thank you for elevating those issues, because the reality is, you're right, the city needs to step up for the West Side. So let's all step up. I think if we continue to work together, there's nothing that we can't overcome. Thank you so much.